joining us. We are the Health Education Training Center of Gainesville. I have a few slides that I'm going to go through really quickly before we introduce our guest, Radha Sylvester. She'll be talking about mental health awareness. She is from NAMI Gainesville, another 501c nonprofit just like ourselves. They are geared toward mental health awareness. So they're going to talk about their services, what they offer the Gainesville community. They've been around for years, guys. So they know their stuff. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the center, and then I'm going to pass it off to Radha, okay? And I'm going to share my screen real quick. Everybody see this? Thumbs up if you do, thumbs down if you don't. Great. So who we are, we'll start on this slide here. So we are the Health Education Training Center of Gainesville. HEAT is our acronym. So that's our lovely acronym. It actually stands for something. Stands for helping each other grow, educating our community, accomplishing our goals together as a team. Our mission statement is to improve the quality of health in Gainesville community through health education and health promotion. The classes that we have at the HEAT Center are geared toward the 7 dimensions of health, which is nutritional health, sexual health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, financial health. And did I say sexual health? I think I said sexual health. Yeah. But we offer classes in those dimensions as well as spiritual health. Our vision statement, we value educating our community, helping each other grow together as a team. We've only been in business for a year, so happy birthday to us. We've been in business for a year now. We've got started August 2019, and today is September 9th. Oh, September 3rd. So we've been in business for a year. We are a nonprofit, again, charitable service. We're geared toward educational and wellness services. We will have seminars, but we will have workshops as well as our educational newsletters. Those go out once a month. I'm pretty sure you guys have gotten those. If you haven't, you will soon. In our educational newsletter, it tells you a little bit more about our center, what our updates are, and basically our statistics, so our demographics. Um, so yeah, we do a lot at the Wellness Center, the HEAT Center. What we are founded on is community, health, education, and teamwork. It's actually on the back of our shirts. So we are geared towards community, of course, the Gainesville community, the underserved population of minorities, all of our health classes. So not just health in a particular aspect like diabetes, hypertension. We do touch on those, but we do see health as a holistic view. So not just a physical view, but also the mind, the body, the spirit, the soul. So we offer classes that looks at all of those as well. Education, meaning that we educate our community on various topics. It doesn't have to be just health, but various topics, just like mental health that we're doing tonight, but also financial health, how to be stable during a pandemic. We do teach that type of course that is coming, I believe, October. In October, we will have our financial health instructor, Shannon Scott. She will be teaching us once again our financial health classes, and that will be geared towards financial health, how to be more financial free, how to retire, how to budget your money, and how to market yourself. Teamwork, we are founded on teamwork, so we do everything as a team. We do have about 7 instructors total, and we are getting more instructors as we speak to teach our lovely classes. And let me see. So, oh, sorry guys, my slides are like acting weird tonight. Here we go. So our board of directors, me, Bree, Bree Chasteen. I am the director and the founder of the Health Education and Training Center of Gainesville. Manashwi Ramanathan, she is our director of wellness programs, so she handles all of our data, and she is responsible for actually coming up with the concepts of our classes. And the director of marketing operations, Jennifer, she's actually online right now. Hey, Jen. She is our director of marketing operations. which she will be overseeing all of our social media marketing advertisement endeavors for the center. A little bit about me. Um, I am the founder. I was born in Ocala, but I came to Gainesville at 17 and to start at the Santa Fe College. So I started at a community college. Then I went to University of South Florida. I got my bachelor's there in public health, and then I went to actually UF to get my master's degree in health education and behavior. So it's the same thing that I'm teaching now is actually what I went to school for. My background is in infectious disease and it's in public health. So I did a lot of infectious disease research geared towards HIV. So HIV is my specialty. And a little bit about Minaj. Minaj, she was born in Alabama, raised in, I believe, in Florida, right? Oh, sorry, Jen. I believe in Florida she was raised. Yeah. She graduated from the University of Florida with me with her bachelor's degree in biology and a master's in health education behavior. She's from Alabama. Um, she is an avid tennis player and she makes the best samosas I've ever eaten in my life. So that's a little bit about Minaj. She is more geared towards the health and wellness programs that we do offer for the center. And Jennifer. So Jennifer, she is a loyalty with all due respect marketing experience of 15 plus years. She is a guru at what she does. She's distinguished with Toastmasters and enjoys supporting different organizations such as Toastmasters and the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida. She's inspired by her family, her free time, enjoys arts and crafts, and she just moved to Georgia, y'all. So she's working remotely from Georgia. A little bit about the classes we offer. We offer a lot, so I'm going to go through them really quick. But we offer yoga classes, so Vinyasa, Hatha, Yoga Basics, which is our beginners yoga class, restorative and gentle yoga, and we just added a Yin class. So those are our yoga classes. They are $8 a class, or they have passes. $50 a month for unlimited classes of yoga, and then $240 a year for unlimited yoga. Um, we do offer nutritional health class, which is our me classes, mindfulness eating. Those are offered the last Friday of each month. The last Friday of each month, it's a live session where local farmers come into class to talk about their produce and how to get those services. We do have the new farmer coming in. So he's a new farmer that just established the farmers market in the east side, well, in Gainesville. He will be coming to talk about his farming aspect and what he brings to the minority community. Financial health classes will be up in October with our instructor. The sexual health classes are taught by me in the health department, Alachua County Health Department, as well as the mental health and meditation classes we hold on Saturdays from 9 to 12 p.m. Our spiritual health class that is on Sundays that will be up in running in October. So those are our lovely classes we offer. Our schedule. This schedule is always posted on our website, which is heateducation.org. You will see our class calendar and our times for our classes. One thing that is very unique about us, as you already noticed, is we don't have a 9 to 5 hour operating hours. Our hours are actually 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time because our target population tends to work during that 9 to 5. So we need to meet the community's needs, and we offer that all of our services from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at night Eastern time. We have people joining us from around the world, so I have to make sure I say Eastern. So yes, that's the list of our yoga classes. You guys can always find them online. We do offer free guided meditations on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern time, and those classes are free. Um, yeah, our yoga passes, which are those 5 classes for $25 a month. That's if you want to be a yoga on the go, you could take any class, any yoga class that you want. We offer a lot of them, about 40. But you can take any of those classes for $5, 5 classes for $25 a month, or unlimited yoga for $50 a month, or our annual pass, $240 a year, or if you just want to drop in a session, $8 a class. That's it. So I think I already said that. Yes, we do. We do need volunteers. So right now we're looking for a vice president, secretary, our financial instructor, and a Reiki healer. So these are the open slots that we have on our board. So if you guys are interested, or you know anybody that is interested, they could apply for them, because they are on Indeed.com. And this is how you can actually be a member of our board or a instructor for H.E.A.T. There's always room to donate. So we do have sponsorships that we are looking to seek. So you can donate at our website. But these are the sponsorships here listed. One thing that's very cool and unique about us is that if you do a $500 donation, you will get a H.E.A.T t-shirt, which is a lovely t-shirt I'm wearing right now. But you will get a H.E.A.T t-shirt, newsletter recognition, website recognition, email, and your company logo on the back of our shirt. So that will be there forever and ever and ever. But you will also get that publicity on the back of our shirt as well. So we have a little bit of sayings here at the center. Your only limit is your mind. You should always breathe and indulge in your food. We would love for you to indulge in your food and take pleasure in eating. And your life is your story. Write well, edit often. This is also how you guys can get in touch with us. So don't be shy. We respond. If it's not me, it's probably Jennifer, or it's probably one of our volunteers that will get back to you. But we are always open for room for improvement. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to hand it over to our lovely guest for today, which is Radha Sylvester.
You have to make me co-host to be able to share screen.
Oh man, do I? Let's see. I don't know if I can do that. Let me
I've
see.
done it before, but I don't remember how. So.
Oh, I got it here.
You figured it out?
Yeah, got you.
Okay.
So, with further ado, I want to welcome Radha Sylvester, NAMI Gainesville. Thank you so much for actually taking on this task to teach and let us know a little bit more about the services that you guys offer and provide for the Gainesville community. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Bree. So my name is Radha Sylvester, and I am the Director of Training for NAMI Gainesville. I'm going to apologize up front. I have just recovered from cancer, thyroid cancer that had spread into my vocal cord nerve, and I could hardly talk for 7 months, and 5 weeks ago I had another surgery, so I got like really decorated neck here. But anyway, so this is the best I can do for right now for talking. I think you can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. So thank you. All right, so NAMI Gainesville, even though we're called NAMI Gainesville, we do serve like 14 counties around us. People are welcome to join in. Those are our contact information there. As I said, my name's Radha, and how I came to NAMI, NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's because I have a daughter, she's now 22, who is really struggling with mental health problems, a major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. And that was on top of some physical health problems as well. So I was just kind of at my wit's end, and NAMI saved me. So now I pay it forward because I get to teach for NAMI and I get to help other people who are going through hard times. So that's a picture of me dressed up for a wedding, but I will always be that young lady and going to that wedding, I think. But now I'm looking at myself. I've definitely lost a lot of weight. Okay, so here you go, what NAMI stands for. I don't like when they do this. Okay, so NAMI is the largest grassroots mental health organization in the country. There's 650 affiliates all over the United States and a few outside of the United States. NAMI provides education, advocacy, support, and public awareness. So it's amazing, and everything we offer we don't charge for. So it's really important for people to know more about NAMI. Okay, so all right, I got to do this. Press each little. Oh, there you go. Okay, so how common are mental health problems? Like 1 out of 5 adults, that's 20% of the population, are experiencing mental health conditions each year. So, that could be situational depression as well as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, something like that. So, it's just a very common thing, and there's a whole lot of stigma surrounding mental health problems that make it really hard for people to ask for help. So, you guys are part of the consciousness raising here so that you can encourage people, hey, there's resources, there's help. um, so here's some really crappy statistics. Florida's like the worst. Sometimes it's 49, sometimes it's 50th in terms of funding for mental health. The last time I checked, it was like 30 something dollars per person per year, and the average in the United States was 4 times as high. So it's just insane that we have no money for mental health, right? About 25% of the people who are homeless are also suffering from a serious mental health disorder. If we could get them housing and we could treat the mental health, then so many things would be improved. When you look at the kids that have been arrested, they're in the juvenile detention center, more than half of them have a mental health disorder. So a mental health disorder, one of the things that could be a symptom is a lack of impulse control. Pile that on top of being an adolescent and your brain is not fully developed. You got problems here. You're going to do something really dumb, impulsive, dangerous, and get yourself arrested. And then more than half of the folks don't receive any help from it. There is help, there is hope, there is recovery, but if you don't get any sort of treatment or assistance, you're very unlikely to just make your mental health problem go away. So what is mental illness? It's a mental health conditions. They're not caused by personal weakness, lack of character, poor upbringing. I mean, that was kind of an old thought system. It must be the mother's fault. She didn't do a good job raising her child. That's why they're mentally ill. That's not true. Mental illnesses are medical conditions that impact a person's thinking, feeling, or mood and affect their ability to relate to others and function on a daily basis. So just like if you have heart disease or you have diabetes or you have arthritis or something, nobody blames you for having those things. But with mental illness, like the whole family is blamed. You must have been a bad mom, bad dad. That's why your kid came out like this. It's really tough. But if we understand that a mental illness is an actual medical condition, it just changes the whole paradigm. And I'll give you an personal example. I told you that my daughter has mental health problems. And so in her teen years, she just really wasn't functioning by 16, 17 years old. And I go to work all day and I come home and she was doing what I called, this is very insulting, but I'm going to tell you what I called in my mind. I maybe said it to her face once or twice. I called it decadent nothingness. You're not going to school, you're not working, you're not volunteering, you're not doing anything. And yet I come home from work and all the dishes are dirty. Like, obviously you ate, you figured out a way to get food, but you couldn't even clean up after yourself. It's not like you were doing homework or doing something productive. You're just making a mess. So I come home from work and I'm tired and I'm hungry and I'm irritable and I'm already bracing myself for the conflict because I know this is what's going to happen. I'll walk in the door and the house will be a mess and I'm like in a crabby mood. So I went to the NAMI class, and I'm going to tell you about the classes in a little bit. I went to a NAMI class and I learned that a mental health problem is a medical condition. It is a brain disorder. And when I saw it like that, because I was convinced she was doing this just to drive me crazy. Like, how could you just do that to your mom who goes to work all day and is tired and just make a big mess? So when I understood that she has a brain disorder, I then decided to be kind of her ally and to help her. And so the first thing you have to do to help somebody else is take care of yourself. So I would pack a snack to eat on the way home from work. I live in Alachua, so it's a half-hour drive. Bring an apple, something to eat on the way home, so I wouldn't walk in the door and be hangry, hungry, angry. So, and then I get to the door, and before I opened it, I would take a deep breath, calm myself down, and I'd look around. And if the house was trashed, I would say to her, "Wow, looks like you had a really tough day today, huh? Why don't I make some tea and we'll talk about it?" And I'd make some tension tamer herbal tea. I know you're into natural stuff, so you know what I'm talking about. Some herbal tea. We'd sit there and we'd drink the tea, and I would just listen to whatever was going on in her mind. And when we were done, I never once had to tell her, get up and clean up. She would just get up after the tea, after being heard, after being cared for. She would get up and she would clean up after herself. Completely changed our whole scenario, having that paradigm shift, learning what I did in the NAMI classes. So, and if you talk to her now at 22, she'll say, I'm alive because my mom took that class, because she was suicidal the whole time. She's ready to kill herself. And she just not, she didn't, but she had some attempts, and she had, Baker Acts and stuff. So anyway, when you understand that it's a brain disorder, it's not your person is not trying to make you miserable with their behaviors and stuff. It makes a huge difference. So that's what we do at NAMI. Okay, so there's kind of two aspects to mental illness. There's a genetic component, and then there's the environment, lifestyle component. And sometimes they call it like a double whammy. I know my daughter's adopted through the foster care system. Both of her biological parents have mental illnesses. And so I knew that there was a genetic predisposition. But I thought, surely, because I'm raising her so well, she won't have this problem. But she did. So, that she had an actual very severe trigger with an abuse situation when she was 12, and that just tumulted everything in. So that's my information on mental illness. So here's a whole list of different mental illnesses. Woohoo! So a lot of times we think of ADHD, it's just that kid who's all wound up, but in 50% of the cases, the kid that's been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, in 50% of the cases later on is diagnosed with bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or something else. That inability to focus and that being all wound up was a sign and symptom, an early sign and symptom of something much more severe coming on later. There's a new one that's now in the DSM. It's called disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. I can hardly remember how to say it all, DMDD, but it's for somebody who's just always angry and always irritable and just can't get a grasp on things like that. And I was like, that's so cool that there's a name for it. Once it has a name, then there can be a treatment protocol, right? So anyway, so those are just some examples of mental health disorders. So I'm going to show you there's like 10 classic symptoms of mental health problems. We all have moments where we feel sad or whatever, but if you just kind of get stuck at the bottom of the valley for 2 weeks or more, you could have depression. So you want to go get some help with that. Self-harm, risk-taking behaviors. And now risk-taking behaviors, teenagers tend to do that anyway because they don't understand, their brains are not fully developed. They develop from the back of the head to the front. The front is where you can be like reasonable. If I jump off the roof, I could get hurt. But when your brain is only halfway developed, because it takes till about age 25, you might think, I know what I'll do. I'll jump off the roof. Let me see if I can fly. So, so when we're talking about mental illness, is it more than the average amount of, is it more severe than what normally happens during adolescence? I teach the classes for the parents, so I'm more focused on the teenagers and stuff. Fear and anxiety, those are all possibilities of anxiety disorders. Weight changes, the severe weight changes, gain weight, lose weight in a severe way. You stop eating, anorexia, that would be another kind of a mental health disorder. Mood swings, that's a tricky one to figure out when you got, kids going through puberty. Is it like this or is it like this? What's going on there? Substance use, yeah, there's a difference between, your kid who's trying to experiment and the kid who's actually treating themselves with some kind of a substance because they can't handle the anxiety or they can't handle the sadness or something, and they're using different kinds of substances. lack of focus, that kind of stuff. So those are just some examples. I'm sure you've heard them before. So I like this quote specifically because it says recovery can take place within the context of, can only take place within the context of relationships. And that's what NAMI's all about, is we develop relationships with people who are going through something similar. So a person with a mental illness, we call them a peer, and other peers are the best people to help. Hey, I've walked that path. I've experienced something really similar. Here's what worked for me. You want to give it a try? I'll be your friend. I'll hold your hand. I'll walk through it with you. So that's what we call, for peers. And then I identify more as a family member of a peer. My daughter would be called a peer. I'd be called a family member. So then family members who have, dealt with their child or their loved one that has a mental illness, they're the ones who teach the classes, or we're the ones that teach the classes to other family members. So that it's just all about relationships. I know I feel like the folks in NAMI are just like my family. When the last Baker Act my daughter had was a couple of years ago, and I'm just feeling like I'm just going to fall apart. And I, call my NAMI friends, and they're the ones who like, yeah, been there, done that, hang in there, we'll help you through it. So it's just really wonderful to have that support system. So we have thousands of trained NAMI volunteers. Actually, in Gainesville, we pay our instructors, we pay our facilitators for facilitating support groups and things like that. So put that in the back of your mind if you want to, you don't pay a fortune. It works out to about $15 an hour, but it's worth it. You do a few hours a week and you're making a difference in people's lives. But we've been fortunate to be able to get grant money to pay our instructors and stuff. So now I'm going to tell you about our 2 support groups, our 3 classes, and our 2 presentations that we do. So I'll start with the first one being NAMI Connection. I don't know, Dave, do you want to talk about that one for a minute? Do you go to Connection? You got to unmute.
You had mentioned before that recovery comes through relationships. Yeah. So what NAMI Connections is trying to do is trying to connect people with each other, with that, they're not alone. Like you said earlier, we don't feel alone. They're all peers. The facilitators have a peer instruction, and it's good. The meetings are very lively and humorous at times, and they're structured. And I've been going to them for a long time, and they've really helped me in my recovery.
Yeah, every Wednesday night. So just imagine if you're somebody who's really struggling with mental illness and you see this person facilitating the group and they've got the same diagnosis you do, like, wow, look what they can do. Maybe I can do that too. It's just very, very encouraging. So that's the support group every Wednesday night, and we're not doing them in person right now. Everything's on Zoom. Where did we ever not? I can't even imagine a time before Zoom, but yes, now everything's on Zoom. And then we have another support group. I facilitate this one sometimes, not recently because of my voice, but I'll be back on soon. And that's one of the other things. I can't breathe and talk at the same time, so you may hear me gulp air every now and then. So the family support group meets the 2nd and 4th Monday on Zoom. So if you have anybody in your family, anybody you care about that has a mental illness and you need support, right? Put on your oxygen mask before you help others. You've always heard that story, that analogy. So, I mean, I went to these family support group meetings. They were only once a month back then for about a year before I actually took the class. And I thought of it as, this is my designated time to cry. Like, the stress was so overwhelming to be taking care of a suicidal teenager that just wasn't functioning. And, that was like my designated safe place, and I could just sit there with tears running down my face and just let it all out. But then I took the class and made even a bigger difference. So those were our 2 support groups. We also have 3 classes. One of them is the peer-to-peer, taught by 2 adults who have a mental illness themselves, and they're in recovery, and they're teaching other folks who have mental illness what are some strategies? How can you make this, how can you make the best life possible? Yes, you've gotten, you got dealt a bad set of cards. You could say your hand is not the best because you've got an illness, but you can manage it. And these 2 instructors are just, they're living it. They're walking the talk. It's just very empowering. We also have NAMI Basics. I'm an instructor for NAMI Basics, and I'm also a trainer of new teachers. So this is a class for anybody who has a kid or a teenager, you know, if they're still in like the K through 12 system and your child has mental health concerns. A lot of those kids don't even have a diagnosis, but the parents like, there is something not right about this situation. And we teach you how to deal with the school system, how to deal with the medical system, how to keep records, how to do an IEP meeting, how to get 504 accommodations, how to deal with the juvenile justice system. My co-teacher for this next NAMI Basics class, she came to NAMI because her kid had just gotten arrested. Okay, it was all his mental illness, but you know, how do you deal with the juvenile justice system and stuff? And one of the first things we teach in this class is that it's not your fault. And as soon as you can get that burden off your shoulders, now you can really make a huge difference. So we help you become the parent that your child needs. We also teach communication skills and problem solving. So, you know, you leave there with a little toolkit of things you can do with your child who might have ADHD or bipolar disorder, or depression, or whatever they have. So we've had, I think the youngest kid, the kid's not in the class, was like 3 showing symptoms all the way up to, you know, 18, 19 years old. And it gets harder when they're bigger than you. When the kid is bigger than you, it's not like you can like tell them what to do. You know, tell them what to do. You try your best. So, okay. So then family to family is also taught. Okay, we have the basics class starts October 8th and it's 6 weeks. The family to family class is going to start September 22nd. It's 8 weeks long. And this is for anybody who has an adult family member with a mental illness. So your family member doesn't come with you to the class. This is just for, it could be your spouse, it could be your parent, it could be your child, but your child's now 35 years old, you know, adult children or whatever. And this is they didn't have NAMI Basics 5 years ago. It just started coming out. Or wasn't available in this area. So I took the family to family class. And at that point, my daughter was about 17. So most of it was very relevant because she wasn't going to school anymore. So what can I do? It completely turned like a 180-degree paradigm shift in my mind. And it made such a difference in our family. So I'm trying to think. I don't think I've taught family to family 2 or 3 times. I've taught basics like 5 or 6 times. I don't think I've ever had anybody say, this didn't help me. I mean, it helps. It really makes a huge difference. So those are our 3 classes, one for peers, one for parents, one for family members. Then we have 2 presentations that we offer with NAMI. In Our Own Voice has 2 peers, 2 adults who live in recovery with mental illness, and they tell their stories, and they say like, they do it in 3 different parts, and there's videos interspersed with it. And it's a great thing, say, for the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, PTA, or something, any kind of groups or something. They want to know, I don't know anybody with a mental illness. I don't know what that's like, you know, and they just tell their stories and they touch your heart. You want to be like, oh gosh, wow, you really went through a lot of stuff. You must be a very strong person to have gone through all of that, and you're here giving talking in front of a bunch of strangers. We use the term lived experience often in our NAMI lingo, you can say. So somebody who's actually lived through this experience is a much better person to help guide somebody through it because they know what it's like, as opposed to just talking to a professional who's a psychiatrist who studied a bunch of books and got the degree. It's like just 100% more believable when you're like, yeah, I know what that feels like. I've been there before. My daughter was a baby, I think, at the time, but my previous occupation, I was a foster parent. I had 69 kids over a 10-year period. My daughter's was the only one I adopted. My friend adopted 8 kids. I managed not to do that. I just adopted 1. And I have 1 biological child as well. But I had a foster child that took his own life at 14 years old. And I tumbled into pretty severe depression at the time. And I remember thinking, I completely understand how he was feeling, how you could be so down in the dumps that you don't want to live anymore. And I remember thinking, well, that was a gift that now I can kind of I can feel that. I understand what that was like. I got help. Crisis Center was awesome for counseling you at 2 in the morning when you can't sleep. You know, you haven't eaten for weeks, and it was tough. But I mean, I used to not be able to talk about it, but this happened 22 years ago, I think. So the first 10 years I couldn't talk about it without crying. But anyway, somehow or another, there was a lesson for me to learn. So that's
We have
NAMI.
a question.
Yeah, jump in.
Shannon says, is there any resources in Marion County for NAMI? Are there any NAMIs in
Yes, Marion County has its own NAMI. And I know that for a fact because when I went through training to become a family support group person, there was somebody from NAMI Marion County. So you can go to the NAMI.org website and then put in, you know, your county or your zip code or something, and you'll be able to find Marion County. But you're also welcome to join into whatever we're doing. I think that we have a bigger, more active group than Marion County does. So if we have, especially now everything's on Zoom, so if we're offering a class that they don't have in Marion County, please feel free to jump in. Yeah, because Marion's got its own, but we're, right, if we figured out there's like 14 counties that don't have NAMI, like all around us. So everything from Madison, Hamilton, Baker, Union, Bradford, Putnam, Levy, Gilchrist, I'm looking at a little map here, Lafayette, Taylor, Suwannee, all those counties. We're actually thinking to get a DBA, a change of name. Like our name on all the paperwork is NAMI Gainesville, but then there'll be a DBA, NAMI North Central Florida, because there is such a need all over the place. And it just kind of depends on our funding source. We're working on it with Lutheran Services. But yes, thank you for asking that question. I can't see the chat box, so just feel free to jump in. Okay, one more presentation, and this one's like my baby. I love this one. It's called Ending the Silence. And it's a presentation that we give to teenagers, specifically for kids. And I am like one of the adult presenters because I'm a parent of a child that has a mental illness. And I have like an 18-slide PowerPoint. It has some videos, and we talk about what is mental wellness, what is mental illness, what to do if you see signs and symptoms of suicide propensities among a friend, famous people who have mental illnesses, and how it didn't hold them back from being, you know, famous people like Lady Gaga lives with depression, or Demi Lovato with bipolar disorder, or there's, you know, we have a whole list of famous people. And it's a really powerful presentation. And then the second part of it is a young adult, somebody between the ages of 18 and 29, who is telling their mental health story. We have several amazing speakers that come in, and I think they were born to do this. So yes, when I was in middle school, this is what happened, and blah, you know, and it was so terrible, and I didn't think I would live through it. And then, you know, somehow or another, I learned some lessons, and now I'm having a great life, and I'm successful, and I'm going to school, and I'm working, and, you know, whatever their story is. And the kids just absolutely love it. So we have an arrangement with the School Board of Alachua County that we are going to try to reach every 8th grade class and every 11th grade class with the Ending the Silence presentation. And it's kind of interesting because last year the state mandated that every student should get at least 5 hours of mental health training in their school year. So we're 1 hour, you know, we're about 50 minutes, 1 hour. So that's the Ending the Silence presentation. There is a version for parents and for teachers as well, but I like the teen one the best. So just, you know, if you know any other, could be church youth groups or whatever. So just think young people. I think I gave it at Job Corps when they were still here or something like that too. So a new program that we started this year is Youth Peer Mentoring Services. And basically I came off of medical leave. I had surgery January 6th, and I came back to part-time working with NAMI April 1st, and we had just gotten grant money from the Alachua County Children's Trust to start a peer mentoring program. And we need more mentors. If any of you watching here would be interested in mentoring, please let me know. Right now we have, I think, 13 kids active in the program. I've got about 30 mentors, but here's how it works, is just because you exist as a mentor, I got to make sure I'm like being like the matchmaker, you know, like a yenta or whatever you want to call it. So, you know, sometimes I get a kid that really needs to have another young adult that's going to play soccer with them or something like that. Or I'm like, no, this kid really needs like a grandma figure in their life. Try to match gender. I just got our first transgender child too, so I had to ask what gives it. I think I'm not sure if he would be considered transgender or trans curious at this age. You know, just sort of exploring that idea. So then I just asked asked them what gender person would you like, you know, and they said they'd like to have a female to talk with him. So that's actually just starting Saturday. They're having their first meeting. So anyway, all you do is email peerservices@namigainesville.org. There's a little 2-page, you know, application kind of thing. And then I have a little interest form. So I'm really excited about this. And I just got a text message from Art, who's my boss, although he sometimes says I'm his boss, but anyway, he's my boss. And it looks like we're going to be able to continue and grow our funding. So this is funding that only covers kids in Alachua County because it's Alachua County Children's Trust. However, we have multiple rods in the fire for funding so that we can take kids outside of the county. I was actually working with somebody who lived in Madison County, but with Zoom, it was like, I don't have to drive there, so that's not a problem. And I think we have kids in Columbia County. I think that's it in terms of outside the county for right now. And then anyway, we're working on funding so we can expand that. And then the adult peer mentoring. So this is our policy. We don't say no to anybody. If we can help them, we're going to help them. So even though we haven't gotten actual funding, recurring funding for adult peer mentoring, we are still taking adults. We just don't advertise it. So we have about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 adults that I think are in the program right now, and they've got mentors that we're working with, and it just makes a huge difference. So when I'm saying funding, the funding goes to pay the mentors. Half of our mentors are peers themselves. So how cool is that you're taking your lived experience and now you're going to pay it forward and you're going to help somebody else. And while we're at it, we're not just taking advantage of you. You're going to get paid. And there is actually a certification that they can work toward, but they need 500 hours of practice for the peer specialist certification. So this is something that they can do for that. But so for the adult mentoring, we prefer that there's a peer working with a peer. That makes sense. For the youth, sometimes it's a family member and sometimes it is a professional who's taking their professional hat off and talking about my grandson had something similar, you know, the lived experience kind of thing. And with the mentoring, it's not like Big Brothers and Sisters where the whole idea is to like just go on field trips together and do that kind of thing. It's more have conversations, but you got to know who you're talking to. Some of the kids that we're working with, there's no way you're going to sit and have a conversation. We have a 9-year-old girl. She's not going to just sit and talk to you. She's going to want to do something. Or some of these boys that are, you know, they got ADHD. They're not going to just sit and have a conversation. They're not going to want to just talk. So they do stuff. Once or twice a month, Art plans activities on a Saturday morning. And somehow it's only the guys that are going. None of the girls want to get up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning just to go do yard work or paint a house or whatever. Actually, I think this Saturday, Art's got like 6 boys, young men and boys, they're not just kids, that are going yard sale shopping at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, okay, enjoy. Go do it. I'm not doing that with you. But anyway, so we have the mentoring program. In addition, we have a care team, which is volunteers that have many, many years of experience working with NAMI, volunteering with NAMI, teaching classes, facilitating support groups, things like that. And just say you're having like a really tough time with your loved one, and you just need a couple people to sit down with you and brainstorm, like, what can we do? It's kind of like not one-on-one, two-on-one, because we always send people in twos to help figure out this situation's just gotten out of hand. How can we deal with it? So those are what we have to offer. Yes, people overcome the challenge of mental illness and they do things that they enjoy, and we help them develop a treatment plan. And people with mental health conditions pursue higher education. They can succeed in their careers. They can have friends and relationships. You might have to change what you're, when you were a little kid, you decided you were going to be this kind of occupation, you might have to change it and adapt it to be something that is going to facilitate supporting your mental health. You may have to be a person who goes to bed early. You may have to be a person who has to completely abstain from alcohol or recreational drugs or things like that. Yeah, you know, you may have to be very disciplined doing yoga and meditation or whatever. What do you need to do to take care of your mind so that you can go on and have a good life? And I'm really excited to see that my daughter now, she never got to go to high school. She was that sick. Like, she went to a class here and a class there, but she, I don't know, maybe she has 2 credits or something. She never finished anything because between her, she has juvenile arthritis as well, which, by the way, 60% of kids who have juvenile arthritis also have depression. Why was she not screened immediately for that? Why was she not immediately referred to counseling when she got her diagnosis at 14? That would have been helpful. So those are some things that, you know, to be aware of. But anyway, she didn't get to go to high school. And then last year in September, she got her GED. Like, it was a miracle. Like, she never went to, she did a GED prep class for math because she never could understand math. And she squeaked by. You have to get 145. She got 147. She passed math. Everything else, she passed flying colors, no problem. So then she went through a whole crisis. Well, now what am I going to do? I never thought I would even live long enough to get my GED. Well, maybe I want to go to college. So she's now in her 2nd semester. She only takes 2 classes at a time because that's what she can handle. And she's just takes 2 classes year round. That's her goal, is that, you know, normally you would take 4 classes for 2 semesters a year. That's 8 credits. So she's going to do it a little slower. But as a child adopted through foster care, she has free tuition. And we're poor enough that she gets a Pell Grant. She's going to get her first Pell Grant in September. So it's like, you figured out a way to do this, even though it's hard. You discipline yourself, and she's actually has a 4.0 GPA. I can boast. Happy mama moment from a kid who didn't think she would live to hit 20. You know, at 22, she's making progress, and she's majoring in studio art. That's her plan. So not exactly career oriented, but she did just get on disability. So I think that this is a perfect major for her. So let's see, do we have any questions, comments? Anybody want to add anything?
So we got another question from Shannon.
Cool.
She says, she asked, what are the credentials needed for hiring group facilitators? So what type of degree do you need to be a group facilitator?
No degree. You have to be a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. You know what I mean? You have to have lived experience. You cannot facilitate a support group unless you're a person who needed to go to that support group. Do you know what I mean? If you're a family member and your findings family support group is really helpful to you, we will happily train you up to be a family support group facilitator. Okay, so I went to college, but I didn't finish. So, but I'm still the director of training. You don't have to have, you know, a whole lot of letters after your name to do what you're doing, because this is real. This is like real life, real lived experience and stuff. So, is that a good answer? You like that, Shannon?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're the one who lives in Ocala?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, if you can Google, I mean, if you could, I don't know, I can get your email or something, but you can just Google NAMI.org and then find how to connect with them. But then you can also, if you email me, or email info@NAMI Gainesville or rada@NAMIGainesville.org, then I can add you to the email list, so you'll get our newsletters and when we're having new classes and stuff. But yeah, right now my family to family class that starts September 22nd still has seats available, and basics isn't full at all. We only have a couple for basics so far. So I don't know exactly the limit for Zoom with their mental illness. That's up next week. So the young lady that I'm mentoring has some big food issues and eating issues and stuff. So we're gonna go to that class together. Not that we're physically together, but on Zoom together, and then we can talk about it afterwards. So
Yeah, mental health is very prominent in the African American community. It's kind of taboo.
yes,
We don't talk about mental health. I could tell you right now, I didn't really indulge in meditation or yoga until my late 20s. Well, I'm in my late 20s, but it was unheard of until I got into college, which was 20. So That's kind of when I started to learn different avenues about how to control my anger, how to control my frustrations, and I kind of found that through meditation. So that's one of the things that we offer at the H.E.A.T Center is that meditation session, because it's so important to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
It's so important to check in with yourself. A lot of things like external factors are around us that shape and mold our life, but really, we really have to learn how to quiet the mind and really go internally. And it really helps with mental health and mental state, because if you can be, in that meditative state with a group of people, that's even stronger, not just to do it by yourself. If you get that strong, you can meditate by yourself. But I started out with a group of people because I couldn't stay still for too long. I couldn't stay still for too long, but that is because of my environment. My environment made me like that. My environment shaped me to always want to go, be on the go, always have to rush and feel like I'm being rushed into doing things. But in all reality, it's actually detrimental to your health to not check in with yourself, to not physically um, understand how your body and your mind work together. So mental health is so prominent in the minority community, and it's something that we have to get comfortable talking about, even though it makes us uncomfortable. But that's the way that it's going to actually help us, is to actually get uncomfortable and talk about those scenarios of mental health illnesses that do affect the minority population. It's just we don't talk about it that much. It's really not something that you say around the table at 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
when you're eating dinner. It's not something that we talk about around the table. It's something we sweep under the carpet. But we have to learn how to invite that conversation in. And NAMI Gainesville does a great job at inviting that conversation in. Peer groups for people that look like you, are going through the same thing as you. It's very detrimental that you get involved in things like that. That one-on-one relationship that you think you may not be heard or seen, you can actually get a peer mentor that is going through the same thing you're going through, and to help you through that process, because they already know, like Dave said, they already know where they've been, so they can help you get to where they are right now.
Yeah,
But
get
it's
to step ahead of you. Yeah.
yeah, it's that initial conversation. It's the initial conversation, that icebreaker. So NAMI Gainesville has a lot of services that they provide for the Gainesville community, and not just Gainesville, but the surrounding counties. So I encourage you guys to just go online, namigainesville.org, and all of their service. I skimmed the whole website, but all their services are listed there. They are looking for mentors, adult mentors, peer mentors, even children, to help out with their children facilities and services that they're offering starting up this fall. So I thank you guys so much. Thank you, NAMI Gainesville. Thank you, Radha. Thank you, David, for sharing and being so brave. You're doing great work.
Well,
And
thank you for hosting. I
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing here. That's great.
Yeah, there's
thank you guys.
certain cultures are less open to the concept of a mental illness as a brain disorder, and they're just sort of like, well, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just do what you got to do. I don't care that you're so depressed you can't get out of bed. You get out of bed and you go to school, or you go to, you do what you got to do, not realizing that that's just kind of making it worse for them. So it's definitely tough. Dave is one of our mentors. He hasn't gotten a mentee yet because he's kind of waiting for the adult program to kick in. So, but yes, I definitely am looking for more mentors. And anyway, it's all good. So thank you so much for having us. I don't want to go over time. If anybody has any comments or questions, you can add or just email me, whatever you need to do. But I'm very happy to have gotten this opportunity.